Here we go.
We're live.
Oh my gosh. All right. So if I go to Witch Bitch, that's where I can find. We told the students. Wait, let's see. Which is a great name, by the way. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay.
You chuckle every time you hear it.
I know. It's because of your accent.
Yeah.
Let's see. Share now. Share in group. I'll share it in 4 or 5 groups.
Okay.
All right. And I'll share it to page. All the Sology pages. Nah.
Amazing.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
No pressure or anything.
Well, y'all are doing fine.
Yes. Okay, well, we've got a couple listeners, so
Yeah, you got, I thought I saw 5.
yeah.
They're coming in. It'll probably take a little while, especially since it's your first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, how are you today?
I'm okay. I'm physically been struggling since I woke up. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Me and Morgan had a group meditation thing for Sology.
Last night. Yeah. So 130 people showed up. It was pretty powerful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh, that would have been amazing. I've done a group meditation, I think, once, but it was over Zoom, like it was over online.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really interesting experience. And I kind of came in a little bit late. But it was, such overloading and energy after, for me at least.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens. I don't think people realize these, because these are really like guided. They're not meditations. They're more of like just a silent gathering, which
Right.
plays to everybody's, higher sensitivities.
Yeah, okay.
And you're feeling it physically now, are you, Todd?
I'm getting better. I'm feeling better. I've just been, it's been like this for like 3 or 4 days. My body's doing crazy stuff. Just crazy. Just
Yeah,
it feels,
right.
yeah, I can't eat what I used to eat. I can't eat as much. Sleeping's ridiculous. Sometimes I can sleep, sometimes I can't.
We know. We've been feeling it too. Yeah.
A lot of people have been feeling the getting tired thing.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden having to take a nap.
Yeah. Just in the middle of the day, sometimes I'll just fall asleep. I can't help it. It's like necrophilia or something. Is that what it's called? No. I don't know. What's it called when you just go to sleep?
Narcolepsy.
Oh, that's it.
Necrophilia is
when you sleep with corpses.
Oh, okay.
I didn't just do that.
We're on the right.
Oh my God! Look at my face. I'm going so red. Narcolepsy, not necrophilia.
So now that we have a couple of people, well, more than a couple, we've got 11 people watching live at the moment. I just wanted to say, since we're new, welcome everyone. This is our show, I would say. It's our show, Witch Bitch, and it's where we talk everything truth. We just talk everything
the
truth.
real tea.
The real tea.
Capital T.
And we brought Todd on the show today, and we're very excited. As you can tell, I think from that whole spiel, Mum.
Yeah, the nervousness.
We're a bit ungrounded. But I think we've had a couple questions in mind that we wanted to ask you.
Okay.
And first of all is what I personally want to know, because you may have already shared this online before, but I personally haven't heard this, is how did you wake up? What's the story of you waking up?
Okay. So I had like some traumas, like a lot of people. I had like probably about several years building up things were just getting like really tough. I had 4 kids in the house. My wife at the time was challenged. I mean, she was legitimately diagnosed with some mental afflictions. And anyway, it just went from, me making 6 figures for about 15 years to ending up on welfare with, 4 kids in the house and the situation with my wife at the time. And so anyway, I used to play the guitar, and that's how I would, I guess, unwind every night when everybody went to bed. And I would go out in the back patio. It was a courtyard in a townhouse with the back fence in my courtyard was next to a cemetery. And so things just, you could feel it, and I was getting some messages, but I didn't understand what was happening. And so one night at 1:11 in the morning, it was May the 30th. So it's almost, it'll be 11 years this month. And so 1:11 in the morning, I was teaching myself how to dance for about 2 months because my guitars got destroyed. And so I just would go in the back and turn on some Kid Cudi or Outkast, and I would, watch my shadow on the fence, and I would teach myself how to dance to hip hop and electronic. And it was a really rough period. Like the previous 8 days was really rough. Chronic depression can be very difficult. Any type of affliction can be very difficult on a family. But it went really dark, and I knew something was going on. And so anyway, it was 1:11 in the morning. And I know that because my wife at the time, she sent me a text, and it was 1:10. And she said, and this is before I even knew about 11:11, 1:11, any of that. And so she sent me a text and said, "Are you coming up to bed?" And I said, "Okay, I guess I will." So I turned the computer off, and I looked up in the trees, the really big trees, like probably 80 feet tall. And I saw this big light coming through, like it was a real white light, like a star was just like a meteorite or something was coming right at me through the trees.
Wow.
And then it stopped in the trees and formed the face of Jesus. Believe it or not. Yeah. Formed the face of Jesus. And he had the, really white teeth, I could see all of his face, his eyes. And he was laughing the way that a parent would laugh at a kid that's taking something too seriously. It wasn't like making fun of me. And I said, "What's going on?" Like, what's going on right now?
Yeah,
even though I was
that would be my question.
Yeah, even though I was like it happened so fast, and I didn't really freak out. I just looked at him, and immediately telepathically, I believe it was my higher self. I mean, I don't know how that works, but he looked at me and he says, "What are you so worried about?" And I said, "What? What are you talking about?" I said, "My wife is very ill. I'm hanging on by a thread physically, mentally, and emotionally." He goes, "I don't know what you're worried about. I've been standing over your family for 2.5 years." Well, 2.5 years earlier to the day, she had eaten a bottle of Tylenol PMs. Yeah. And she ended up actually dying and then coming back to life. It was a whole other deal 2 years before. But so he said that to me, and I just looked at him, and I just felt this wave from my crown down. And I knew nothing about ascension. I knew nothing about anything like that. I'd read many, many, many books over about 20 years and on a lot of different subjects, metaphysical and such. And this wave just went over me of like peace and love. I'd had an out-of-body experience before, and it was very much like that. And I just looked up at him and I said, "Yeah, you're right." And then I looked back at him and he was laughing harder. And I said, "Well, what's that all about?" like, what's up with that? That's what I said. I said, what's up with that? And he said, well, you're the one of the unshakable faith. And now we're going to find out. Tomorrow, your world's going to flip upside down.
Wow.
And he could have been saying, how are you? Or it was just like nothing. It was just like a conversation. And so I took what he said and I went upstairs and slept with my family for the last time. And so the next day, everything turned upside down. And I ended up actually, wasn't anything, we'd had a lot of interaction with the police, psychotic episodes. They've been happening more and more and more. And so when they came that next morning, they're like, half of them were talking to her, half were talking to me. And they're like, what are we going to do here? And I said, I don't know. I've done everything I can. And then this sergeant walked in the room who hadn't been over before and had just gotten there. And he said, well, you're not doing enough. And I just got up off the couch and I said, F you. And he said, turn around, you're going to jail. And so 42 hours later, I came out and everybody was gone. So that's how I woke up. It was kind of a forced, you're not listening kind of thing. And there was a bunch of other things that happened very quickly after that. Very, very quickly. Apparitions, just all kinds of stuff. Crazy stuff.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. What a story.
Yeah. It was like that for the 6 weeks later. I left and went on the streets by my own choice. I had 2 suitcases, a briefcase with my computer, my microphone, and actually I hadn't even started Sology. I wouldn't start Sology for 9 more months. But 6 weeks later, I went on the streets and spent 7. I call it a spirit walk. I spent 7 months, most of the time walking. Most of the time I spent walking. It was my therapy. I felt like I was embodying my will. I was like, every step I take is a step in faith. I had no car, no vehicle, no job, no family, no kids in my house, no kids in my house for the first time in 23 years. And, and so I did that for 7 months. And then I kind of had like a half time. And then I did another a year and a half. But like the last 7 months of that year and a half, I got a job and I started working in a restaurant and worked my way up, like waiter, bartender, manager, and just started pulling myself out. Took a while.
What made you decide to go on the street?
I don't know.
What pushed you there?
I don't know. I guess innately I knew something was going to happen. Something had to give. I knew there was always this higher calling thing going on. And so what happened after they left, I didn't know where they went, number one. And so I was dealing with all that and just a bunch of other stuff, family that was, not real connected or at the same frequency. And so I actually spent 6 weeks in my bedroom, smoking pot, drinking beer, and listening to the same song literally for 6 weeks. I listened to the same exact song. It's called Do It Alone by Kid Cudi. It's a beautiful song. And wow. And I listened to it for like 6 weeks. I'd go out at night and dance in the clubs. And then I don't know what happened. I had about $175. I walked to a hotel, bought 3 nights, and then I really don't know why. I just knew I had to do it. I knew I couldn't call on anyone. I certainly couldn't call on family, even though they would have helped me. I just knew I had to do it on my own.
Yeah, right.
Which, a lot of people over the years, I tell them the story and they're like, man, you did it hard, dude. Or I'll have in the early days, I have mediums or psychics come to me like, I guess they would get a glimpse or something. They'd be like, wow, you really did it hard. But I don't really know. It was that thing that got us all here. So it wasn't really something I looked forward to. It was something I literally just took on moment by moment. I really didn't have a choice.
So it was your inner knowing. It pushed you there.
Yeah. I mean,
you just knew you had to do it.
There was a lot of stuff that happened. Like there were some things that were happening that I didn't catch. that had happened, like signs, pretty big signs. And so whenever that happened and I came back, to my house, I just was like, I say this to people all the time. I proved that you can absolutely, by conventional definitions, lose your mind and find the light at the same time.
Yeah.
I know that for myself, because I was pretty wild anyway. And so that kind of put me into a super wild stage. I didn't care if I died, so there was fights there. I'm 50 years old when this happens. I got in 8 fights in 7 months. And
Wow.
yeah, so there was a lot of stuff going on, but things just started happening right away. Like within one of the things that happened early on, like within the first 4 or 5 days, I came home from dancing. I'm laying in my bed. I have a candle lit, and my wife at the time, who was alive, she would pass within a year, and she came into my room and was in the corner of the room as a shadow and spoke to me for about 2 hours. And she kept telling me I had to leave. You've got a lot of things to do. And I kept seeing, like, and she would say it, I see you standing in front on a stage, like talking to a bunch of people and stuff like that. So yeah, but they just kept happening. I mean, I had incident after incident. It was almost a daily thing.
And you were ignoring them, or you were listening to them?
And,
right.
The funny thing is, I did ignore them. I didn't believe them until about 6 months into that spirit walk. And what happened was I was renting a room from a friend of mine, and I made dinner for us, and then I went for a walk. And I had put a glass of tea on the nightstand next to my bed. And I was faced with a really difficult decision at the time because she was coming back. She wanted to get back together. I knew it wasn't a good idea, but I also knew I was too screwed up to make a decision. Or to think clearly. And so I went for a walk, came back. I sat on the bed just like this, and the warm tea, it was a glass, it was a glass about like this size. It was a big glass, and it was thick. It was a thick tumbler. And the ice had melted, so it was warm. It wasn't like cold or hot, And I remember I just put my hands together and I said, "Can I trust this path?" And the glass exploded. Like tea and glass went all over me. And in that moment, I felt something that I'd felt before. And I said, Archangel Michael. Like, I haven't been in religious stuff for years, but, I knew that was Jesus. I knew this was Archangel Michael. And then it all started coming back. Like in that moment, everything that had given me a sign, every weird incident and coincidence, all kind of like showed themselves like as a montage. So like each one of them standing alone, except for this one, because you can't really argue with a glass blowing up,
You definitely can't.
Right. The rest of them, you can kind of go, oh, that's, but when you look at all of them, and I think we can all kind of relate to that, then you go, oh, wait a minute. No, there's something bigger going on. And so once that happened, I met with her. I said, no, I wouldn't put myself in a hotel for 10 days. I don't know how I got the money. And I did the same thing I did 7 months earlier. I stayed in the room. I did things I wouldn't recommend anyone do, but it was my own way. And so I it's funny because I took a picture of myself in the middle of it all, like probably on the 5th or 6th day. And I took a picture with my phone, and it was very dark. It was a very dark kind of initiation of some sort. I don't know. And then I took a picture the day I left, and I looked fantastic, and wow. And then within 24 hours, things started popping. Like within 24 hours, this kid, 14-year-old kid, came to me, and I had gone to school with his mother in junior high and high school and never spoken a word to her. And we were both pretty well known. And in fact, her best friend was my best friend. But I didn't even know that until he came to me and he said, like basically we got work to do. I need to show you some things. So there was a sanctuary. I called it a sanctuary. It was a city park being built not too far from where I had been hanging out. And I would go there after dancing, because that was really the only thing that saved me, was dancing in the clubs. This crazy 50-year-old guy dancing in the black clubs, electronic clubs with all the kids. And so it kind of culminated one night. I knew something was going to happen. And I went to the sanctuary, and it was cold and windy. So it would have been like January, and it was really windy. It was like enough of a wind that it almost knocks you over. Mm. So I got out of the car, and this kid would leave me pennies all the time. And I had gotten this car. I'd gotten some money together, and I got this car, which I was mostly sleeping in. And I had put a CD in it, NWA, right? Straight out of Compton. I'd put this CD in there, and it ate it, and it wouldn't play. So I get out of the car. It's 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I see a penny on the ground, and I hear push the CD player. So I put the keys in. I push the CD player. Sure enough, straight out of Compton, crazy, Ice Cube, and so I started dancing in this parking lot in the middle of the night. And once I was done, I started walking across this. There was a soccer field, and then there was the park where I would go, connect. And I'm walking across this soccer field, and on my lower peripheral, I saw a circle of light, probably maybe 15 feet wide, 5 meters. And as I'm walking through it, the wind stopped.
Wow.
But I kept walking, and I thought, wow, that's weird. As soon as I put my one foot outside the circle, the wind starts. And I went, what the fuck, right? So I brought both my feet back in, no wind. I go to the center of the circle. I kneel down, and all these ley lines and grid lines, like it was a dome. It was like a geomantic dome, and it just appeared. It appeared. The light's still going on. There's no wind, and there's this really palpable set of tones going off. I could see like pixels in the air within the dome. I couldn't make anything out, but I could see like frequency and waves. And I knelt there for about 4 or 5 minutes. I don't remember anything. I just remember coming out of it. I kept walking. I'm a Sagittarius. It's dark. The moon, I think, was out, but it was fairly dark. I look on the ground, and I see a Sagittarius in the grass, with the arrow pointing a certain direction. So I thought, okay, I guess I'm supposed to go this way. So I go that way, and I go to a pond, and there's a very little inlet, and so there's another kind of like an island on the other side. Mm-hmm. Not too far though. I mean, I could see it pretty clearly, probably like maybe a house length away. And I look over there, and I see the kid in, not third eye, he's standing over on the edge of the other bank, and he does like this with his hand. He points. And I look up at the sky where he was pointing, and, the wind was what it was, and the clouds were moving with the wind. They were real puffy, like pillows, that kind of clouds. And they were moving just like the wind, right? It was really fast. But I look up, and as I looked up where he told me, the clouds opened. And I heard the words, "We're going to show you just a little piece of the universe." And I'm like, whoa. And then the next thing that happened, this mist came down from the clouds on the other side of the bank, and then in the same speed came right through me. And it felt like a like a slow motion car wash. And there was some precipitation with it, even though it wasn't raining. And I just remember crying and putting my arms out. And I was there for a while. And then it seemed to end. And I looked to the left side, because he was on the right side. I looked to the left side of the bank. Something caught my eye. And there was a stairwell coming out of the night sky. And all of these figures were coming down the stairs like you would when you come out of a movie theater. You know, they were all coming down. And as each one would hit the bottom, they would nod at me, and then they would go to their right and disappear. And I counted about 300. And I still don't know what all that means. It was some type of something. I don't really know. It was a very special place. It's still very special. But yeah. So that kind of stuff was happening all the time. So, you know, a month later, 2 months later, on Morgan's birthday, I was given the name Sology. And, you know, I was told, open a group, just start writing this stuff, you know, and I did. And it was, yeah, that's.
Now you're here.
Now I'm here, yeah. Now I'm here.
Wow. I'm like gobsmacked.
That was hard to ignore.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Like,
it was
if you'd ignored all of that, I'd be going, Todd, what's wrong with you?
Well, you know, I always knew that it was legit. I knew that, and then in the next, that would be like through the first 9 months, and then the next year and 3 months, especially the next, I'd say like the 10th through the 15th month, it was every day. Every single day. Every single day. Yeah. Because what was happening was all of a sudden children, when I say children, it could be a young person, it could be a teenager. They would come to me and they'd say, will you please contact my mom? Right. And I'm like, I'm new to this. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. And I'm like, okay. So I would just contact whoever it was. And then like, oh my God, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, I don't do this. Are you a psychic? No, I'm just telling you. He told me that you sit in the bathtub and you mourn and he doesn't want you to be sad. You know, I'm like, this are the kind of messages. And this went on for quite a while. And other things would happen as well. But yeah.
So that first boy who contacted you, he wasn't alive.
No.
Yeah.
No, he was the one. He was the son of the lady that I had gone to school with, who I would eventually, he had me contact her. And it turned out she was a medium.
Right.
And so I ended up connecting with her, and we kind of had a little thing for about 6 weeks. And, but we both knew it wasn't like a permanent thing. We were just, you know, two adults, you know, finding some peace, you know, in a crazy world. And but some of the stuff came through me, some came through her, but that he was involved. So there was some kind of soul stuff going on. I could go into a lot of different stories about what I understand about her, what I was told, but there's some kind of connection was there with this kid. Yeah. More so than the mom. It was really the kid. Some type of soul family or some kind of connection like that.
Yeah. Wow. I think for me, like, hearing this is so powerful because I've been in the place of wanting something crazy like that to happen, which kind of sounds like crazy because why would you want, you know, something that creepy to happen? But no, it's a beautiful experience, and I've been wanting to experience something like that where, you know, mist comes over me or I'm in a dome of ley lines and stuff, like, and hearing it, you know, be true for someone else is bringing me a lot of hope that it will happen to me, because I got to the point where I was like, maybe it just doesn't happen. Maybe the human experience is very 3D and that kind of stuff just doesn't happen. That's what I was starting to convince myself of. But hearing it from you is like,
this stuff happens. It happens. And I never saw anything like it again. Well, And you hear a lot of people talk about that. Their wake up, they had like a lot of really intense stuff happen, and they're like, "How do I get back there? How do I get back there?" But I think it was meant to wake people up. Like in my case, I know they told me, we sent one, you didn't listen. We sent another one, you didn't listen. So we sent Michael, who destroyed the glass to get your attention. But until Morgan came over in 2017, because I'd meet her like 4 years later, and of course we were doing stuff together and on the phone, because she wouldn't do a video with me for like a year and a half. I didn't even one picture I think she sent me in a year and a half, and so we were doing like soul merging, and I was seeing things immediately. Like as soon as I hear her voice, I'm seeing everything. And even when we were together or not together, I would see things. And but it wasn't until she came in 2017, and we had some things happen. But again, they were like, oh, somebody could say, well, that's a coincidence. It's a coincidence that cloud looks like Jesus's face and it just turned to yours. Or other things happen to us. Certainly, no question about it. But until the next year, she came back the next year, about a year later in 2018, and I was in Georgia, and within the first 4 or 5 nights, like our love frequency was so strong that we connected with, I don't know how you explain all this stuff, but I would just say aspects of us, right? And I think the first night that it happened, and we both knew it was coming, and long story short, we don't see anything, but we're told sit on the bed, face each other, and the next thing you know, and we didn't tell each other this till the next day, but we experienced the same thing. Everything from the chest up went black. It looked like the cosmos. It looked like looking in the night sky. And then all these strands of DNA started showing up, It looked like neon. And then our heads started to morph into different beings. Like these were, and so we didn't talk about it till the next day, but when we were looking at each other, we were remembering everyone that we'd been and what we were to the other in that particular life. And it was Earth lives, and then it was off planet lives, and then it was off universe lives.
Wow.
Right. So at one point, her head, she looked like she got about 7 feet tall, and she had 2 heads. I'm like, whoa. Now this was in the off universe part of it. This went on for about, I want to say about 30 minutes. And then it was funny because at the end, it went back to 1 head per morph. And then I saw 2 heads again. And I went, oh shit, there's another one with 2 heads. But then the head walked from behind her.
Oh my God. Right? And are you seeing this with physical eyes? Like obviously, yes. Third eye.
Eyes. So physical eyes.
Oh my God.
I see this guy walk out from behind her. Okay. And we're both looking at him because we're on the bed. He walks to the foot of the bed. He looked at me and he kind of nodded, and he looked like Santa Claus. Well, Morgan's biological father looked like Santa Claus. Like he looked like me. Wow. He was all white, he was all white hair, wild man. But also Merlin. When I first got on the phone with her the very first time, I heard this is Merlin's daughter. I'm like, okay, what? And that's the first time I really started to feel Merlin stuff, and I had other things happen, but I'm not sure who it was. I don't know, but I just looked over. I said, who the F is that? And I acknowledged everything because that's a pretty freaky thing, right? I mean, and he just turned.
That's the understatement of the century,
right?
Yeah.
But
I thought the 2 heads was pretty freaky.
It was freaky, believe me. But so he ended up just turning. He acknowledged us, turned, and walked right through the wall.
Wow.
And then like 2 or 3 nights later, the same thing happens. So we get on the bed. We're holding each other's hands like this, facing each other, and the room filled up. Same thing with the 2 eyes, not the third eye. It filled up with translucent masculine beings, about 8 of them around us. And 2 of them walked into my back. So I hadn't experienced anything like that with anyone else but myself. So that, and we've had many things happen since then, but yeah.
Gosh, I remember Dad was saying to Mum that in reflections, so say Mum's in front of a window or a mirror, Dad can see her reflection as Palladian. As
Really?
her Palladian, yeah.
Yeah, and when we're in a room and you can only just see each other, when it's really dark and your eyes are adjusting to the dark and it's kind of like everything's got that kind of pixelated essence to it.
Yes.
He says, there she is. There's the Palladian. She's coming out.
That's what it looks like. That's what the air looks like to me. And even when I've had my own personal stuff happen, when I've not been with her, that's what usually happens. And it's been happening this year. It's been happening.
Yeah, right.
Even if I'm sitting here, sometimes it'll happen. It feels like I'm in dimension or a lucid dream. It feels like that, where you can actually see, like the pixels in the air,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually remember, so this is when I first woke up in 2020. I was doing yoga on the back deck of our house, or it's in our garden and it's all open sky. And I was doing like a laying down yoga pose. And so I was looking up to the sky and all of a sudden I see these like weird pixely sparkly things up in the sky, but it's not like how it is with the dark. Like it was something completely different. And here I am freaking out thinking I have like parasites in my eyes or something.
She certainly did.
I was freaking out and I'm like, what is this thing in the sky? And at the time I was a very big, like, what is it when you get something where you think you're really sick based on
hypochondriac.
Yes, hypochondriac. Yeah, I was a big hypochondriac.
Yeah, but there is a reason that she was like that, because my dad got very sick. He had motor neurone disease. That's how he died.
Yeah,
and she was around 8 or 9 when it started. So she witnessed my father get very, very sick. He went from this beautiful, strong man to a wheelchair-bound man who couldn't move. So she was
scared of hospitals.
She was scared of all that stuff.
Scared of disease and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she thought she had cancer of the eyes or something. She was.
But then, I heard about photons and I heard about it and I knew that was the truth. My inner knowing knew that it was photons, but my human mind and my fear was like not accepting that as the answer. And then I remember Mum got a photo off of Facebook or a post off of Facebook that was talking about people seeing photons and they were describing it exactly how I was seeing it. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't excuse
You're not the only
that.
one.
Yeah, I can't bypass that. That's telling me what I'm seeing. So, yeah, I can see photons when I look hard enough up at the sky. And even just in really bright rooms, like anywhere, if it's really bright, I can see photons, which is really interesting. Yeah.
I find that really heartwarming, actually.
What?
That photons are real.
Yeah.
Yeah. That she can
It's all real, isn't it?
Mm.
Yes.
It's but it's nice to know sometimes,
Yeah. It's validation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps a lot. I think
so. I don't get visions. I don't see things. I don't have that ability. And I think it's because it really freaks me out. Because if I saw Spencer with 2 heads, I think I'd run out screaming.
She was hot. She was hot. Even with 2 heads, she was hot.
Yeah. So I don't get that ability. I don't have that ability. But I hear things.
Yeah.
I can hear things. Like really, I can really hear them.
And you're a fortune teller. No, you can tell the future.
Yeah, and I get intuitions about what's coming as well.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that I had that ability. It was like there were just like, I don't know. It was like we called our dog China. That was me. I did that. I called our dog China. I don't know why I did that. And that was before COVID. And I was at TAFE studying jewelry design. And one of our projects was we had to design.
I forgot about this.
Yeah. We had to design a piece of jewelry, and I went down the rabbit hole of masks. And this was in 2019. So it was about 6 months before everything happened. And I researched it, and all the images that I researched were being used during COVID in the truth community, because it was all around the history of masks and where it all came from and what they mean and all of that. So, yeah, I wasn't awake then. I only woke up in 2020. But all of these things started to make sense to me. I was like, okay, so that's where that came from.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that. And now she's just my compass when it comes to things. Like, she'll just say, oh, I had a dream. And I'm like, all right, tell me. Now I know what's
dreams are a big one for me too.
Yeah.
They are huge communications for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this year dreams have been the biggest for me. Unless I'm, doing a session with Morgan or in a group, but pretty much I've had some things happen this year. Certainly. In fact, there's been more going on this year than since the first couple of years. So for me anyway. And I asked, because I was purging really hard last year. I went to straight juice pretty much like 95% of the time. And I was just dying. And I said, please let me purge in lucid dream if possible. And then that started happening. Yeah. And then the dreams became more message oriented. And like in the last couple of months, a lot of new earth lucid dreams. Everything's white. We're building stuff. Everybody's chill. Like we're just getting there. We're, meeting family or soul tribe. Everyone's feeling is like, wow, we made it. We did it. So that's picked up a lot for me this year, the lucid dreams.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was the same in purging last year. Last year was probably the hardest year in my life. I was just going around the same cycle over and over and over and over and over again. And watching, what really helped me last year was watching Jason I don't want to say, I don't want to say his last name wrong, but
Estes. You're right.
Estes. Okay. Yeah. Watching Jason Estes was really helpful to me because everything that he was saying, I was experiencing. Yeah. And it brought some clarity to me. He's amazing. I want to have him on at one point.
Yeah,
like we wrote a list down of who we're
you were first, Todd.
Thank you.
Yeah, but last year was purging for me.
Yeah, it was. And speaking about Jason, what I've noticed too this year is that, and I don't know if it's that more people are getting the intel, like the type of forecast kind of info he gets, or like that Franco got. I just think that more of them are vocalizing it now.
Yeah.
So to me, it's not, we've probably done, Jason and I have probably done 30 shows together. He came out on Soulology in 2018 when he first, started to make his move, because he'd been working on that for years. But I've noticed that there's a lot of people out there that are getting the same information, and there's more of it to be seen. And most of them obviously are women, which I think is very important. I think that's extremely important.
Yeah. And I think the beautiful thing is that it's the same messages, but they're being delivered differently. So it resonates with a larger or a wider array of people.
Yeah.
Because when people digest information differently, and it might come from this person and you might not resonate with it, but it will come from somebody else and you'll click with it. And I think that's beautiful. I think being able to have that many choices to go to get your information from is amazing.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Morgan says Soulology is a buffet. Well, if you look at it, everything's a buffet. Right. And so what you're saying is very true, because there's some people, although I'm working on it every day, like we all are, trying to see everyone as myself and not be in judgment and prejudice and bias. And, but there's some people that I saw one a couple of days ago. A friend of mine put it on one of the videos, and it was from a guy I had a run-in with way back, like 2014. He's pretty well known. He blocked me way back then. He probably had the right to. But I've noticed his stuff over the years, and I can take it or leave it. But there was something he wrote a couple of days ago, which just it was right on the money. Same thing everybody else was saying. It was just saying it a different way, more scientifically. But there's enough out there. I think people, if they have the desire to grow, the universe will provide it. There's plenty of people out there putting it out there. So
yes,
you just got to be open to it.
I think that was really what allowed me to grow so quickly through the past couple years, was being able to go on my phone and watch really high vibe creators and watch really useful information on my phone, instead of using that time to watch what a majority of the internet is at the moment. And because I would just spend hours, oh my God, watching David Icke, watching Magenta Pixie and Laura Eisenhower and Soulology, and Jason Estes. I was just watching feel good, dozens of people out there, and there was no lack of who to choose. Like, if I didn't feel like watching one person, there was 20 other people to choose from, and I learned so much.
And we were hungry for the information too, because we'd only just woken up to what was going on, so we were hungry for the information. And there were people waking up literally on YouTube as it was happening. Because I remember watching Laura Eisenhower. She's one of my favorites. I absolutely adore her. And she was doing these amazing videos with this guy in America. I can't remember his first, David Rodriguez.
Right.
And he literally,
I love him.
Yeah, he put out this, it was so weird how it happened. He was sitting on his back deck with a cup of coffee, and the video about Hollywood had just come out.
Right.
Exposing what was going on in Hollywood. And he just randomly did a Facebook Live for his family.
Yeah, I remember that.
Meant for his family, saying, it's all true.
It went viral.
And it went viral.
Yeah.
And then Laura reached out to him, and now they started collaborating.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched
and
their
they did
stuff.
some amazing stuff together.
Yeah, they did some stuff for a while. I forget what he goes by. El Nino?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in Texas. Yeah. He's in West Texas. There's just so many, right? And I thought when I thought of what you were saying that a second ago too, was watching people transform on screen. I love that. I'm sure people have seen me do it, like over the years, the show's a lot different than it was 2,000, 3,000 shows ago. But being able to talk to people, especially in the last 12 months, as we've all gone through everything we've gone through, it's amazing to sit in the chair and see these people have changed so much.
Yeah, look at us.
Yeah, look at me. I mean, all of us, right? I mean, it's just amazing. You talk to somebody, and then you talk to them 3 or 4 months later, and it's like, whoa, whoa. So,
it's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we're becoming more of ourselves, I think.
Yeah, it's more of an unbecoming.
Yeah, an unbecoming
of everything else that you've picked up over the years.
The layers are coming off.
Unlearning.
Yes.
Yeah.
It really is that. Unlearning is really hard.
So that's a statement.
Yeah, because they've been reinforced by habits.
That's what I'm going through at the moment.
And when you're covered in it, like everybody's doing it, it's everywhere, and you're just immersed in it, and it's everywhere you look. It's really hard to, get out of it.
I think, especially like what I'm going through at the moment is creating a new pattern and getting over all the habits that I've created, or maybe not all of them, but some of them that I've created. And one of them is running. So when things get overwhelming, I just tend to shut down completely and not function as a regular human being and just go on my technology, and I watch movies. I do everything that I can to escape and dissociate from reality. And so that's the habit that I'm currently overcoming, slowly but surely. But what makes it so hard is not only is everybody else doing it, but these habits are addicting, because the technology is actually addicting, and there's codes and dark magic in a lot of things. And it's like not only overcoming the habit, but it's overcoming the dark magic that's been interwoven into everything around us.
Yeah. 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 That's always been a challenge for me. People, when we talk about the reality of programming, and dark intentions. But I mean, I say this all the time, like, hey, they tried GMOs, fluoride, chemtrails, and we're still kicking. I mean, we're obviously becoming impervious to what's been used before. But for me, what I've watched happen this year is people were just simply taking their attention off of those things.
Yeah.
Right. Like they see it and they go, okay, that's not going to be here. I'm just going to go do my thing. And I think that's how it becomes, non-threatening.
Yeah, exactly. Just take your attention away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Take your attention away from it, and then it doesn't have any power anymore.
Yeah.
You don't need to fight it, because you fight something, you're giving it energy. When you take your energy back and you just turn your back.
Yeah.
And it has no more energy.
So true.
And that's why I think what you were saying, Juliet, like, don't make it an enemy. If that's what's happening in your life and you're relying on technology to escape, then don't make it your enemy, because you're just giving it more power.
Yeah.
So just, say, okay, that's a coping mechanism. Maybe I'll try something different, and just, don't give it your attention anymore.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to acknowledge it. Like we just had this, this shooting in Texas, not too far. I mean, it's my neck of the woods, it's like a couple 100 miles from where I grew up, but I worked a lot in that area. And I know the people, right? I mean, I know the type of people, and it's a small town where it happened, but I also know the history that anyone has researched a little bit in the last 20 years, which is a lot of false flags. And I'm not saying that's a false flag, and I'm not saying that nobody didn't get hurt, but I have to keep everything in the soul perspective. And it's very obvious that there's been an uptick in these things happening, and it's also very obvious to where they're taking it.
Yes.
Which is to
100%.
ultimately do what they did in Australia.
Yeah.
But without, I can't afford to get wrapped up in, oh, those dirty bastards, or, oh, that's horrible. Because it is. And I can give a moment of prayer or silence and I can move on, because I know those are souls that chose that path, and it's all perfect. But I think you acknowledge, you see things, because to ignore is to resist.
Yes,
right?
of course.
So it's
100%.
You know what I mean? So you look at it and you go, okay, I see that there. I take it in. Whatever condolence frequencies I want to offer, whatever the case is, and then you move on. And I think that's what people are doing now. They're creating. That's what you said. People are being themselves now, and I don't know. To me, I feel like that we're so close to, something really miraculous, like where we start to see, what was it, like 2020 you guys woke up, right? You were talking about some of the things you were watching. Think about those things now. You don't watch the same things anymore because you already know that. So what's happening is, we're closing a lot of doors and open, to walk through the true door, I guess, or whatever this whole thing is leading to. But I feel like we're on the verge of something beyond extraordinary. I really
Yes.
do. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, going back to the prayer thing that you mentioned, I really resonate with that, because I was watching a video by this woman on TikTok who does like these funny dances while talking.
Yeah, I love her.
I've forgotten her name.
I think
but
I've seen this lady.
Yeah, she's awesome.
The way she delivers the information is amazing.
Yes. And she was talking about the power of prayer, because her point was like, people say, oh, well, prayers aren't good enough. You need to go and do something. But sending your prayers, especially as a group, is just sending a whole light beam of pure intention to, people. And that is enough. And that really struck with me. I'm like, yeah, you're right. And instead of going out and, being angry, like Mum said, and creating an enemy out of the situation,
right,
sending prayers is totally enough, and actually recommended, I would say, unless, especially for people who aren't there. Like I can't go to Texas and help, but I can send my help through my intention and sending, light energy over there. And that was like, yeah, okay. So I can help anyone from anywhere. That's a really interesting perspective that I didn't really even think about before. So
which is what you and Morgan did with Sology just yesterday. You got 130 people together.
Well, and I think what's happening with this evolution is we're starting to understand that the true creation is from our thoughts, basically. Because my thoughts are, if I'm awake, they are what they are. But if I'm in meditation, they are what they are. And you know what I mean? So that's really, to me, where it's coming.
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to say, like, we've gone from watching content when we woke up, we were watching content and we were digesting it and we were growing from it, to now creating it. That's how we've evolved.
Yes.
Yeah.
And looking, like, at least for me, before I would go online and look for answers in other people who had that really strong connection.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't at a place then to, find that within myself. But now I feel like I've cleared enough within myself and grown enough where I don't need to go look on YouTube for answers. And I can instead go in my room and journal or meditate and find the answers that way. That being said, I do also enjoy watching other people. But I won't go with the intention of looking for an answer.
Right.
Yeah, maybe just for a different perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is lovely to be able to, when you are watching content from others, like your channel is a perfect example of this because you have such a wide variety of people on. It's lovely to be able to witness them and their perspective and their story.
Exactly.
It creates such a widening of the mind and of knowing, like a connection that you feel with people that are going through something similar to you or something completely different that you never knew could happen. Like your story, Todd, your story is like way like, yeah, like I think if I had experienced something similar to you, I think I would be flat on my back, like in a mental institution, because that stuff would freak me out. If I saw Jesus's face in a tree.
Yeah, and then go tell everybody.
Yeah, like, but hearing it from you, hearing it through your perspective, I can hear that.
Yeah.
I can project myself mentally there through your words. But if it happened to me, like face to face, I don't know how I'd react to that.
Well,
so I'm experiencing it through you, and I'm able to do that because it's not scary to me listening to you.
Well, I think that's what happens too. You listen to Stefano de Matteis, his series on Gaia called
Gaia.
Called Intuition, and I'm not sure what season it is. I think it's season 4, episodes 8 and 9. But he talks about I believe it's the 9th dimension. And he talks about how when you're in the 9th dimension, you can actually see every single perspective. And I think that's what I see with what you're talking about and with the show, or even people just talking about their experience. That's where the new Akashic is to me. And I think what happens is the more open we are to hearing different things, the more the more, what I mean, the more founded we're going to be, the more growth we're going to have.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's all about being open.
Yeah.
And some people, like I have a really good friend. She's very psychic and very, very gifted. And I've had her on the show a few times, and she'll say, I don't want to see anything. And I told him, because she's lit, and she's like, I told him I don't want to see a damn thing. So she'll see colors and waves.
That would be me.
Right. And she'll hear things. Well, that's how Morgan is too.
Yeah.
We connect at night when we're together. She'll have the blankets over her head and I'll have mine down. Like I'm trying to see and she doesn't want to see.
That's really funny. I do want to see, but I don't think I am completely open to seeing yet because I haven't. So that's why I say that. I think I'm also a bit scared. Like I'm half scared, but half really want to see something.
Most of the people I talked to, they had really, more stuff happening when they first woke up.
Yeah. And
then it doesn't come in quite as much. In fact, you even get left by yourself for periods of time. You hear a lot of people talk about that. Mm-hmm. But, I realized that I didn't know about 2012 and all that stuff. So mine was 2011, but that's close enough. The real big stuff started happening in 2012, 2011, 6 months of, being homeless. That was almost like a getting ready or something. But I can see where back then the you, me, we, and it were trying to get our attention. Like, we got work to do. And now to me this year, certainly the last 2 or 3 months, it feels very much the same to me. It feels like we're building up to that type of atmosphere, not just for me, but like everywhere. That's why I'm not going to be surprised when somebody says I teleported or I teleported. I try every night to teleport to Morgan's bed, but Well, I'll let you know when I get there. But I'm not going to be surprised when I see somebody flying through the air. I know people might think I'm crazy, but I really believe this is, we're so into this illusion. We don't, in my opinion, we don't need to talk about all the BS anymore because of what you said. We're just giving life to it. So why not focus on these things we're discovering about ourselves, especially they get compounded dramatically when there's collaboration.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
100%.
Yeah. Like this is a big deal. There's two of you. This is a triad. There's people here. It's this triad energy. It's collaborative. It's open and well-intended. Yeah. So these are the things, back to what you said earlier too, about the thoughts, the intention, the thoughts. That's it. That's the end of the road. I mean, if we're thinking in terms of being consciously in alignment with our higher perspective or soul or higher self, then it's going to have a pretty quick impact on our daily life. I mean, I'm going through a bit of that right now because I have to vacate this house in 5 days.
All right.
I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not trying to attach to anything, expectation. I'm not looking for a way out. I'm just sitting here, following the directions, of course, discuss things with Morgan and we approach things together, but we both understand like we're being emptied out. Yeah. And so I've been emptied out. I told you that story, but this is the same thing. I feel it coming on. I feel like, so I don't know really what's going to happen. But the reason I was bringing that up is because I'm trying to allow it to unfold and not freak out and not panic, because worst case scenario, I'll load everything up, go put it in a storage facility and, go camping, whatever. Right. But, yes, I feel like I feel like the rest of this year is going to be absolutely incredible. Just, it's going to be incredible. And I think next year is going to be unbelievable. Like, just unbelievable. We've done too much work in these 10 years, whether we were officially in our own mind awake or not, the world has just done too much. And the truth is too, because I met plenty of people like you, and they'll come on and I'll be like, whoa, like with both of y'all, we both said, whoa, and then you go, how long you been awake? 2 years. I've met people 2017, 18, 19. Like, so what I'm saying is when somebody gets something, it has a different substance to it than it did 6 years ago. Linear time has a different context.
Yes.
So you can get something today, and not only can you anchor it, but you can also share it with me. Right? Yeah. Like we're sharing code now. Like, you know what I mean? So it's really growing beyond exponentially, beyond quantum to me. It's a whole different math. It's like 1 + 1 on the other side. On this side, it's 369 Tesla. Everything is totally a different math.
100%. Yeah. I don't know. It's a bit surreal being here. I'm trying to take in all the information. Yeah.
You're doing great.
I can definitely feel this was you're our first ever guest, and it feels so divinely right because you're so, at least to me, you are experienced, but to me you're like expert, mastery, and to have you on the show, it's brought me a lot of comfort in myself because you already know what you're doing. You've done this a million times, and for me, like, it's just brought a lot of comfort.
Well, you're very natural. You're very natural with it.
Yeah, she is. She is definitely.
She is natural.
I love our dynamic because we're mother and daughter and we're so close. We bounce off each other, And I think bringing that dynamic into the public space that's why we did it, because we wanted to bring that mother-daughter dynamic into the public eye, and to be able to interview people and give people opportunity to tell their stories.
Yeah.
And share it with everyone is a privilege to me. I think it's amazing.
But, I tell Morgan this, I mean, and I believe this, there's no stronger connection than a mother and a daughter, in my opinion. So to be able to express or emit those frequencies, I think is a great idea. And then as far as like doing it, I've helped I helped a lot of people kind of launch things or give them advice and stuff like that. And I notice most of them crash and burn.
Yeah,
because
right.
They don't really know what it entails. And what I mean by that is people think, you sit down with somebody for an hour and a half, and it's an energetic scenario. I mean, you can be knocked on your back, you can be bouncing off the walls, you can be triggered. There's so many things, but to me, it's just be consistent. Don't try to kill it. Don't try to kill it.
Yeah.
And like I've seen people try to do what we used to do, like 3 or 4 a day, 6 days a week, and like, no, it's not going to work. So just try to be consistent. Even trying to come on once or twice a week, that's a lot. It's
yes.
And so like I said, I think you're both very natural, and then what happens is the more you do it, the more things go wrong, the more you figure out how to do it, and the less stress you get out as it's happening.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so
100%.
Practice makes perfect. And it's all about the moment too, though. I love what you said about the mother-daughter frequency, though. I think that's very important.
Yeah, you say it's about the moment. I love that we're capturing. It's like we're in a little bubble, and we're capturing this moment in time and sharing it with our groups and the people who are interested and want to see it. And it is what it is in that moment. And it captures that magic. I mean, that's part of why we called our group Witch Bitch, because it's about the magic of the female, the magic of the feminine.
Yeah.
And it's controversial too, because witches are considered scary things, and I don't think they're scary. That's a misconception from from
You're right. And where do we get it from? For the most part, Hollywood, right? I mean, so like everything that has that, even what people call creative life force energy or sacred sexual energy. I mean, look what's happened there. I mean, so but people are figuring it out. People are starting to figure it out. I mean, I've got kids, obviously, and one of them's just a little bit older than Juliet, and she's had some relationships, but I'm amazed at the maturity of the relationship of these young people. Some of them, anyway. I can't speak for all of them, but to actually not make physical intimacy a priority. Like, we're going to get to know each other. We're going to be friends. We're going to talk emotionally, right? I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. Or she'll tell me, I discovered that I have an abandonment issue. I'm like, whoa, 20 years old, like, whoa, you're that self-aware. So there's something in the water.
Yeah, because if they can create that base, then the other stuff comes naturally.
Yeah.
If you've got that foundation, first, then the other stuff grows out of that. It's like fertile ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that these types of broadcasts and collaborations, and like with the group yesterday, those things she's been doing, it's just my opinion, but like 90% of what you get, you don't even know.
Yeah.
You know, like yesterday, we went to the place we were meeting. We formed a circle, and then she was, you know, facilitating, and she said, everyone invite your builders, your architects, your soul tribe, your whatever, to join us in the circle. And in that moment, many people went, whoa, like you could just feel like all the energy come into the circle.
Yeah.
And she went into about 15 minutes of shock orgasms straight, like nonstop.
Right.
So this is,
she must have been tired after that.
She was fit to be tired after that. She got tired afterwards, but she was funny. But see, that is what we're talking about. That's available to all of us. What is that? How do we find out more about that? And I think it's through what you're doing.
Yeah.
Hearing the stories and sharing the experiences. Because that's beyond science and that's beyond spirituality to me. This is facts. Yeah. This is life. So you can take all the other stuff and it is conceptual.
Yeah.
Until, when I have a living, breathing person telling me A, B, C, D, this happened to me, then I get to hone my skills being non-prejudicial, non-biased, open, compassionate. But I also get to add to my personal Akashic, like Juliet was saying, I get to hear what they're saying. And I don't have to, or what you were saying, I'm sorry, I don't have to live that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't believe that I'm going to be taken down to the point that I was 11 years ago at this exact same time. I don't believe that, but I believe the energy pattern is probably similar or the same.
Yeah.
That's being presented. I'm at a different place now. How are you going to handle it? Are you going to freak out and settle? Are you going to hold on to the dream? What are you going to do? And I told Morgan, whatever happens, however long this transition happens, because the ideal thing would be for me to go find another house for both of us. So when she comes, we got one. But I told her the main thing is I'm going to broadcast every day. Even if I'm in the woods, we're going to broadcast, whatever.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Keep it going.
Yes. Yeah. Yay.
I feel good. I've been babysitting today. And as much as I love babysitting, I was feeling a bit ungrounded. And this is just total reset.
Well, I think you guys are doing great. I've done a few
Todd.
first shows with people, and I mean I don't even remember my first show. I can't remember.
We won't forget this one.
I was trying to remember I remember the first 4 videos I did. I remember that. It was in 2015, 2014, but the first show I actually did a show with where I sat across from somebody, I can't really remember. Isn't that crazy? Because back in those days, I would just be like, hey, I see somebody on the comments. I'm like, hey, you want to do a show? I just jump on and we just do shows.
That's how you learn. You do it.
Yeah.
You get in and you do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they can't. And that's the thing. That's a great thing about, for me anyway, because I mean, people say things to you all the time. I mean, it's, one way or the other. And but when you make an effort, nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah, that's
even
right.
if somebody says you didn't do this or you don't do that, or I know I did it. That's all I need to know, right there.
Yeah,
that's it. I don't need to. I don't. Whatever somebody thinks is, no matter who it is. If I know I've done it, I've done it. You can't take that away from me.
Yeah.
So
100%.
But I think we're. I really feel like we're headed for some incredible times. Like it's here. I mean, I know people say this, and I don't want to sound like a cliche, but I really feel like there's going to be some supernatural things happening. Love is winning.
Yeah,
is what I get. Love is winning. It's like even going back to what you were asking about at the beginning. That's what kept me going. I mean, I was absolutely, as a human being, I had a hole in my heart as big as Alaska. But I knew what I had done. I owned all of it, and this isn't rocket science. I mean, everybody knows the drill. I just came across it in my own way. And I knew that I was love, the personification of love. I knew I'd been a loving father. I knew I'd been a loving husband. Did I make mistakes? Absolutely. But I knew who I was, and I was going to live or die for it.
Yeah.
I used to write that in Soldier all the time at the end of I'm ready to die for the truth. And because it was pretty intense when I was writing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I mean, it was like, I didn't go into detail of some things, but I was pretty adamant. And people would be like, why do you always say you're going to die? That's not the point. That's not the point. It's, like I can't accept anything less than the truth. And, and I had some, like a lot of us, I had a lot of traumas, not just leading up to that point, but in that 2 years on the streets, there was a lot of trauma, of trauma. And, but I think that's, for all of us, I think this has been like a preparation.
Yeah.
And I feel like I feel like we've turned a corner in the last 2 or 3 months. I feel like we're on the other side of something. Not that it ends. Not that we don't have.
It was a very sharp corner. It hurt turning that corner.
Yeah. Tell me about it. But it feels like something's lifted. It really feels like something's lifted since I say February 22nd, but I mean, for me, it really settled in probably in May.
Yeah.
First part of May.
February was a big month for me. So I agree with that. February was like quite transformational, and it was such a new beginning energy, like starting fresh, starting a new journey. Like that's what it really felt like for me. And so I feel that. And this month has been really hard for me. So I'm kind of where I feel now is like, that middle stage where kind of nothing is happening, but also you're feeling just low, you're not feeling motivated because you're not at the beginning and you're not near the end. So that's what I feel like at the moment.
Swim, dog paddle.
Yeah.
Dog paddle.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm just doing it. Yeah. Just dog paddling.
Yeah. But this
don't think about it, just do it.
Exactly.
But this show has been a bright light for me.
Oh, yes.
This, because when I say that, with the whole new beginnings and feeling not good, like that's in life. But coming on here today, it's been a beautiful, and this whole witch bitch thing coming on Facebook every day and posting funny memes. It's just.
Yeah, y'all have some good ones. And I'm a meme.
You're a meme lord.
I'm a meme lord. I'm looking at them going, where the hell do they find those? There's some good ones.
Sometimes I steal them from you, Todd.
Well, there's about 5 or 6 people we steal from each other. I've noticed that.
And then I go on to groups like funny meme groups and stuff, and I get them from there as well.
Yeah, you can find them there. I shared like a couple of years to Sology. That's usually what I do. I try to share the people, like if it's a new group or if it's a person that's I try to, that way people will pick up on it, and then they'll start.
Yeah, I think we've got a few followers from Sology.
Yeah, I noticed today in your announcement, I noticed a few names I recognize, so that's great.
Yeah,
and you should. It's a great group to put stuff up in and build your base. A lot of people have done it over the years, and it's also a good place to once a week. Or always put your announcements, like once a week, just, hey, come see our page, come join our group.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Thanks for the invitation.
I didn't even think of that because I didn't want to,
I understand.
Yeah.
Dad did one. Spence put one in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now that I have permission.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now we have permission.
Yeah. We'll go crazy.
Yeah, just we're just everybody's sharing. It's all free energy. We're free energy.
Yeah,
Every
100%.
information's free energy. Nobody owns anything. I mean, it's just the way it is. And I know people don't like to hear that, but I don't. Morgan and I don't own anything about Sology. We don't. It's not like that. We're two of many, right? I mean, it's an energy anyway. It's not an organization. There's no dogma. There's no doctrine. It's just an energy. And to me, it's what you're doing. Sology is just a word. I mean, it's a word, like the Holy Spirit. But I mean, like what you're doing is you're providing a place that's safe. You support whoever you bring on.
Yeah.
And you're open. And then you get to watch people step out of their,
You inspired us, Todd, because I don't like being on camera at all. Like the woman you were talking about earlier, in your meditation, the one that stood out to you. I don't like being on camera at all. I've actually get quite scared of it. But being on with you, I always feel really safe. I feel, I don't think about myself being on camera. I think about the content. I think about our conversation and the energy. I feel really wrapped and safe with your energy. And so I was like, okay, if that's what inspires me to come on camera and to feel safe being in a public space, maybe I can provide that for others.
There you go.
And
there you go.
So you really inspired that for me to stop focusing on the fear and focusing on myself and to focus on creating a space where people feel safe to come and talk to us.
Yeah.
And so I flipped it. I flipped the narrative
There you
around.
go. That's right. Turn a setback into a comeback.
Yeah.
And let me just say too, like I'm not doing what I'm doing now. It's really not even an individual thing, obviously, but it took, 2,700 shows ago.
Yeah.
Morgan came in and said, if we're going to do this, let's do it. Of course, Sology came to us too. So that kind of made it, a tree appears in front of you and, starts talking to you. You're like, oh, okay. But, she pointed out things very much, our relationship has followed the masculine and feminine collective. So she would come and tell me, you can be more present. You can, and just to make it better, to make me better, to make it better. It's really us. So there's a lot of the things that people might say to me in the last year or two where the show's kind of, gained frequency. It's at a minimum, it's her and me, right? I mean, I still got to show up, but there's a lot of things I picked up from her, and I'm the type that sometimes it takes me a while to learn things or figure things out, but once I get it, I'm done. Like I can go master it now. So, but yeah, you guys are doing great, and I think who's going to be your second guest?
No, we have a few in mind. We got a Google Doc and just wrote a bunch of people that we want to have on, but I'm thinking, there's so many people.
There's so many people out there.
Yeah, I think the way that we're going to approach it is just be open and see what comes up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
we're going to aim for one a week. I think
that's a good one a week is a good number because that's 4 a month. If you miss one, you did 3. But until you can figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Like, then you say, "Oh, well, I'll stay with this."
Build it from there.
But there's so many people out there, and we've had the big names and we've had the unknowns. Primarily, you would really classify 90% of them, 95% of them as unknowns.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, we're both of the mindset now. Let's keep it the community.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's nice to have a big name on, but we're not after views. We're after what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The story, not the instruction. Right.
Yes.
And so I find that that's very satisfying to me. It's a good feeling to see people open up and come out. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're coming out.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that about Sology. I love that you have real people on.
Yeah.
And telling their real stories. I mean, that's amazing to me. I want that content. That's the stuff I want to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I have a friend. He's not talking to me anymore. I don't know if this is why, but I think it is. He's a friend from like 12 years old. And we reconnected. And, but and I'm not just talking about Soulja. I'm just talking about these people that are out there that are a lot more of them than we think, that have had experiences with a fairy or an ET or an angel or seen an apparition or have intuitive feelings or all these things we talk about. Though that's to me what it's all about, because what I get from people's comments and also from messages that they send to me and Morgan, which is, thank you. You saved my life. I thought I was the only one. I found my people. I'm not crazy. It's a validation thing. And I think it's been saturating enough to where, marinating enough to the point now where it's starting to expand. In other words, it's not just the sharing now, it's actually the coding. It's not the words, it's whatever that is that caused you to flip that.
Yeah.
So that energy is now being projected out and people are picking up on it and say it's the courage frequency or whatever. And people pick up on it. That's what I see more than anything with Sology. From the early days before we even did videos, well, I would do them, but it was a guy putting his whole day up every day. Hey, I'm homeless, but I talked to 6 ascended masters today. I'm not giving up. I'll never give up. And, or whatever it is, it's the spirit. And then I saw people start doing it. Start bearing their soul and opening their heart and saying, look, this happened to me. And I just want to share it. Thank you. Or people doing videos and doing a crazy song or a crazy dance, and just let your hair down, that's what I see. And which is what you said. I think everybody's becoming themselves, which is like, what better game could you even come up with, where you can't divulge the way you win or how it ends. And you find out that in the end, all you had to do was be yourself.
Yes.
Like okay, the gods got us on that one, right? Like that's so obvious. Yet it's the last place we look because it's the first place in front of us. Right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It really is.
Yes. Everything is right in front of us. It's just a matter of seeing it.
Yeah. No doubt.
Wow. Gosh. I feel complete. Do you feel complete?
Yeah.
I feel complete.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I feel better too. I felt like crap all day, and I feel really good now. So thank you.
Awesome.
Oh, amazing.
I love connecting with y'all.
We love it too.
Oh, we're gonna have to have you on again at some point.
I'm always up for you guys. So and anything I can do to help you. If you need any pointers or anything, I'm not totally up on StreamYard, but I could be real quick. And it's a multi-streaming service, so if you have it, you should be able to multi-stream to at least three channels. So you have the YouTube, you have your personal page on Facebook, and then you have your Witch Bitch. Yeah. Just make sure that you have your what do they call it? Your privacy setting.
Oh, yep.
Permanently set on your group, on your personal pages, so that more people will see it. Otherwise, it'll only be friends of friends, and your algorithms are extremely low.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Just a pointer here and there. Let me know.
All right.
I love you guys.
Thank you, Todd.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
You're very welcome.
We'll end it here. Oh, thank you so much for being on and just for sharing your beautiful
and for being
story.
awesome.
Yes. Oh,
I appreciate
you.
you.
High five.
Thank you.
High five on the
congratulations, by the way. Congratulations. Keep it going.
Thank you.
Let me know if I can help you. Take care.
Okay.
We will.
We'll definitely will.
All right.
All right.
See y'all.
Peace out.